What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as RideMyAvatar, and today we're going to go over basically the last bit of BT-14, some best decks of the format, basically. This is just going to be for the January run. We kind of usually do this at the beginning of the month anyway, so it's good just to talk about it, and then hopefully by Saturday I should have the next episode of Digimon Tri-Cup up. So without further ado, let's dive in the video and talk about it. So using the data that we've had from past events, that all BT-14 long, major events, some local stuff, you can tell what decks are kind of doing well enough to see where they're going with. So I figured come up with a top 10 list as usual and just go over possible decks you want to possibly play. So then first deck we're going to talk about is none other than the Yggdrasil or Royal Knights deck. This deck features and wants to synergize in a way that it basically tucks a Royal Knight underneath. You build up a big stack of powerful level 6s and level 7s into Yggdrasil's stack, and then you keep reducing the play costs. The only problem is Setcon is annoying for this deck. So anything like Setcon's effect shuts this deck down a little bit or slows it down a bit. That's why I use like Crimson Blaze and Marcus to kind of just remove the threat off the board. But you have like Omekimon that's going to draw, and then when it's deleted, gets to put a Royal Knight underneath, speeding up the tempo. So, and then the big game plan is for Omnimon. For its on play, when Digivolving, you may delete one of your opponent's Digimon, or play one of each Digimon with a different name, and with Royal Knight's traits from your Digievolutions under the Digimon in your breeding area without paying its cost. If you played a Digimon by this effect, trash one Digimon in your breeding area, and all your Digimon gain rush for the turn. So you build a really wide board, use combinations like Leopardmon to build blocker wide boards, Dynasmon to search pieces, Lord Knightmon to get a piece back from trash. There's all these good possibilities. Jetsmon to help remove threats off the board, Gallantmon to raid into things. Sometimes you just need to raid. Gallantmon here just with rush. So there's all potentials across the board, and you have like Purge of the Royal Knights that helps takes a piece underneath after being played. They all reduce costs, and it's really solid at the end of the day. Then we do have Setcon. Setcon's actually doing quite well because a lot of OTK decks exist. You basically focus on using the Magna Angemons basically to recover enough to keep getting your like Flame Health Sives, Wyvern's Breath, and Chaos Degradations and Security, slowing down your opponent to the point where you can just chip away their security. Triple Death X just if your opponent's going wide, because there are wide decks in the format, you can just really make your opponent have a bad day. Everything with this deck has a lot of potential, and with like Holy Wave, if they hit that in security, that means another chance of getting stuff recovered. So the deck is all synergized quite well. Setcon is always going to do what it wants to do, and having like Kari anytime when your security is reduced, you may suspend this tamer, gain 1 memory. So it does help out at the end of the day. Then you have like TK Kari to hopefully make more memory push turns, and it just ends up being a really annoying deck. This is one of the few decks that people just wish would go away, but it keeps coming back, especially in OTK formats. So just realize that you do have Setcon as an option. Then we do have Yellow Vaccine. Yellow Vaccine's quite interesting and in an interesting place. A lot of people, you can build this in multiple ways, but the Kairumon is all about that jamming. So people have been focusing more on the rush aspect and just trying to chip away security. Using Patamon's innate ability to take any vaccine level 4 and just Digivolve on top of it for free is really nasty, especially if you use like Rapidmon. Grab that, boom, your opponent's really in a bad spot. And what I like is that they use the Venusmon combination, but they also tech in War Greymon, so that basically it can do the multi-attacking and hopefully get your opponent's Digimon off the board. Shine Greymon, Ruin Mode really can ruin an opponent's day, especially a well-timed one, especially since you can skip Evolve in ways for a lot cheaper, and it just makes your opponent have a bad day. TKs, and then Rise Greymon being able to play the TKs for free is really nasty. So the deck has a lot of potential and really makes your opponent just really need to stay on edge, and this deck just constantly recovers and just keeps tempo, especially against OTK decks. You can slow them down, especially with Venusmon's effects, so they can't just swing in naturally and deal extra damage. And, you know, it just gets scary. Then we have D-Brigade, the little D-Brigades that could. So there's many possibilities, but this was one of the more recent tops. I love the Vademon tech. Vademon is actually probably hyper underrated. The fact that being to manipulate the top of your opponent's deck is huge. You know, that is very important. Just knowing what your opponent's playing, especially with a Vademon for its on play or when digivolving, and then digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon for each Digimon that is revealed. You can bring this back to a rookie in some instances, and you're not deleting the Digimon, but you know what? If you still are on your turn, you can get Bigadramon to delete it afterwards. So DCZ Bomb, just basically helping remove threats off the board. You know, Ultimate Flare, because if they hit this in security, they're most likely losing their stack. Defensive Trainings to help search pieces. Chumon to slow things down. If they hit Dorumon in security, you're hopefully trying to get, you know, another body on board, and then add the remaining cards to your hand, and then add this so it helps Digivolve. You know, I like the tech. I'm surprised it's not more Commandramons, but I understand. There's high Commandras to spit out more Commandramons. You know, Cargo Dramon helps spit out more. Bigadramon spits out more, creates blocker opportunities. You have Nume with Sasuke. You know, this is all potential, and the deck is going to do what it wants to do. And I'm going to be honest with you, with even just having Mishimon being able to recycle pieces that are lost and restack them means you get to spit out more bodies quickly. Then we have Bloomlord. Bloomlord actually still been topping. Green is just really powerful in generalization, and I wouldn't be surprised once we get the Quantumon, especially with the restrictions coming in, that Bloomlord becomes one of the top decks in BT-14. So just the deck wants to just do the same thing as like any going wide deck. It spits out a lot of bodies by just sneezing, and then you use the combination of like Bloomlord to gain a lot of security checks because you can push through with big numbers, and it gains piercing. And then you have like Hydramon that'll help, you know, gain you memory, pushing it back to your turn. If your opponent's Digimon is suspended, you know, that's huge. And then you basically, if there's at least 2 or more suspended Digimon, plant or vegetation or fairy in one of their traits, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to the bottom of the deck. Just makes your opponent have a bad day. Quartzmon is just really annoying, especially against wide boards. It shuts down the game, and then your opponent just has nothing to really do. I love the Dimensional Scissors tech because this lets you if the Digimon destroys the opponent's Digimon by battle, make this Digimon active until the end of turn. Dimensional Scissor comboed with Bloomlord could really clear out house. I don't really understand the Entomon, but you know, when Digivolving, if you have 2 or more suspended Digimon in play, unsuspend this Digimon. So maybe just another attack in, but not really needed. So all in all, I'm even surprised the training wasn't in there, but this is probably pre-training. So let me see. Yeah, this was released when trainings were legal. But yeah, this is pretty much Bloomlord from the list. This was the top list of the first. This one's a little more makes sense. That isn't just a lot of jank. But you have like War Greymon with the raid. Then you have like War Greymon X antibody. See, this makes more sense. The splash of Louis was interesting just to help promote up a little bit quicker. Especially, you know, for your Greymon X antibody, the one of. So there's a lot of potential with the list, and especially with offensive and red mem boost. And then you have the black ties. So definitely worth taking into consideration, and this deck has a lot of potential and threat. So, sorry about the Ulti Cup list. That wasn't what I wanted to show off. Then we have Fenry Luga. Fenry Luga is just really a nasty deck, especially with Soul Luga being able to restand itself, being able to spit out the Black Gatos, then you Chimera in to re-go into Fenry Luga, just to make your opponent have a bad day. I love the spicy demonic devastation to pop something, and then you get to restand your boss Digimon again and get another swing in. So just the deck is just swarmy as heck, and you use Analog Youth to help speed you up a lot. Natsumi here, Natsumi here basically is just your Mind Link piece, and he's going to do a lot to give yourself Alliance and Blocker, and that just really gets nasty pretty quickly, especially for the extra attack damage and everything like that. Whew. So really, the deck has a lot of potential, and I don't see this deck going anywhere anytime soon. Then we do have Red Hybrid that started showing up at the late end. People started realizing splashing Ukumon, and Ukumon just really speeds up the tempo of the deck. You know, so the deck speeds up an extra turn, you get an extra raising, you get to build up another security stack once you promote up. Ukumon's just really that good, especially because it's like almost having a small Bukumon, but just when you promote up. Because again, you're not really trying to focus on promoting up, so you don't mind just evolving promote up, and just have it stand up and just let you draw whenever you take opponent security, because you're going to take advantage of extra security checks from the 3, and then you have this one that says, you know, when this Digimon has 10,000, it gains your turn. When this Digimon checks opponent security, gain 2 memory. So, but giving a heads up, you should probably, instead of Metal Greymon Ace, take that out and just go with another Emperor Greymon, the one that restands if they block, because that one at least can restand and get you another attack in, especially against certain matchups. It's just good to have an extra body. But Gravity Crush, Atomic Infernos can just really ruin a day, especially if hidden security, then you just get extra security checks for no reason. So just a really nasty combination, and then you have like Crimson Blaze being Crimson Blaze. Then we do have, obviously, Shine Greymon. Shine Greymon's just being Shine Greymon. This is just going to apply pressure to your opponent just all day long. Just Marcus's punch, 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 punch. You know, use combination of like this Shine Greymon to lower your opponent's security stack, and then give your Marcus's extra security pluses. And then you have Burst Mode combination, which basically makes your opponent have a bad day if you see the burst. Basically, you can close out any security gain very quickly. So the deck hasn't slowed down. Training's definitely helped it out. But all in all, deck's really good. I love the final Shining Burst that this list posted. So one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 12,000 until the end of the turn. Then you may play 1 Marcus from your hand without paying its cost. Yeah, for 8 costs, you kind of get a free Marcus out of the deal, which could lead to being this Marcus coming down. Suspend it. At least it becomes a 7 cost option. Then we have, the final deck we're going to talk about is Mirage. Mirage Galgamon, same thing as Shine. They're both OTTA decks. They got the boost in basically mental training and blue mem boost. The deck is basically very linear. There's no difference in how the deck plays. The deck is always wanting just to get in Mirage a Thomas, and then you burst evolution to just go crazy ham, getting memory for free, you know, just having your opponent have a bad day. So there's a lot of potential with the decks, but it's just very linear. There's nothing crazy out of the ordinary that you won't expect from this list. So guys, you know, you have like this Mirage that basically says when one of your all turns when an effect adds a card to your opponent's hand, gain a memory for every 4 in their hand. So if they draw by an effect, you just gain some decent power up, and especially if they do anything that would add a card naturally to their hand through like their security. So there's a lot of potential there. And then you have like Burst Mode that is just gonna Russian roulette their hand every time, and you kind of force them to draw with this Thomas here, you know, or by you playing this Gaomon for on play, draw a card. There's a lot of potential, and your opponent's just gonna have a bad time. So all in all, deck has a lot of potential, and the deck's gonna do what it wants to do. There's nothing more else you want to know. It's just OTK format on the top end. So just play some options in your lists that should help mitigate these down, because cakewalks are cakewalks when there's no options to really stop these, especially with the combination of Bukumon, because jamming guarantees that most likely this thing's surviving every battle. So, and there's not many times that they're going to break even with you. So, I mean, it's a possibility. There's variables that will lead into that category. But all in all, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Sorry about the War Greymon issue, but guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace!